Hello, I'm so happy to be back with you. We are doing chapter 21 today from the book Ask and It Is Given. So 21, but you know what I found is that you can jump into the book from wherever and you will get whatever answer you're looking for. That's the wonderful thing about this. Okay, chapter 21 is called You Are Only 17 Seconds Away from 68 Seconds to Fulfillment. That's a mouthful, right? Okay, so let's get into it. This 17 seconds is something that Abraham talks about a lot. And the 17 seconds are now 16 seconds. So about a couple of years ago, Abraham started saying that the 17 seconds have been shortened and they are now 16 seconds. So imagine that if we are talking about creation, and Abraham is saying that you start momentum, your attractive power for the next event only takes 17 seconds to get started. How amazing is that, right? So now think about the fact, and I'm sure that you have thought about it before. If you're like me, then you have noticed that every year goes by faster than the last one, right? It feels like it went by faster than the last year. Why is that? It's because of this factor. The 17 seconds are now 16 seconds. That means that the stream that Abraham keeps referring to, you know, that stream of well-being, the stream that brings us everything, that stream is going faster. Why is it going faster? Because it's going faster because there has been so much asking. There has been so much asking over the years, and asking creates a pull. Asking is about energy. Asking is about that magnet that pulls things. And we're pulling faster and faster and faster because it's cumulative. So asking is cumulative. Interesting, right? Okay, what do I mean by that? Let me explain. Asking is cumulative. It means that if I asked for something before, that asking, that point of attraction has not gone away. It is still very much there. What does that mean? That means that even though I might have forgotten something, let's say that I was 3 years old and I wanted, sorry. Here we go. When I was 3, I wanted a red balloon. And maybe I got it and maybe I didn't, but I gave birth to that desire of a red balloon. I might have forgotten about it now. I won't tell you how old I am. Take a guess. All right. But the universe never forgets. Once you give birth to a desire, the universe never forgets it. Isn't that interesting to know? So that desire keeps pulsating even though it's not topmost in your mind. You might have forgotten about it, but the universe hasn't forgotten. And so that desire is still pulsing out there. It is still that asking, if it has not been satisfied, it is still pulling like a magnet. It's pulling energy towards it like a magnet, right? And so if all the wishes that you ever had are still pulling like a magnet, then you're pulling really, really fast. And if you're pulling really, really fast, faster than you've ever pulled before because of the cumulative effect of so many open desires. Do you get it? So, as humankind, not just you, but everyone on the planet, all desires, even though we go away, the person who is born today, this, what does Abraham say? This bag of bones, bones and flesh, goes away. But the desire that you gave birth to while you were alive, that's still pulsing. It does not go away because a thought that is once thought never goes away. That's what people see when they think they see a ghost. They see what is a thought form. Anyway, that's a whole other webinar or whole other discussion. I'm not going to go there. But the point I'm making just now is that all desires of all human beings who have ever lived, even the baby whose desire was just for milk, all those desires are still here. And they are all pulsing. And because they are all pulsing, they've got magnetic power, and they're pulling and they're pulling and they're pulling. So as humankind, we are pulling with a lot of force, more force than we have ever used to pull before. And because we are pulling so much, because of that, things are moving faster towards us. Things are moving faster towards us. Yes, they are. But the problem is, if you have a belief, then that belief becomes like a wall. So what I mean is a negative belief. That belief becomes like a wall. So even though this thing that you're wanting is coming to you, it comes and then it hits a wall. And if you keep pulling, it keeps hitting this wall. And that's the trauma, that's the struggle, that's the heartache, that's the despair, that's the anger that you feel. That's the frustration, because you're pulling and it does not come through, because you've got to remove this. And when you remove this, now it can come. So we're pulling faster than we've ever pulled before. And things are coming and they're all piled up right over here. And this pulling makes it feel as if time is going by faster, even though we know, we measure time and we know and we understand that time doesn't really go faster. It's still 60 seconds in a minute, and it's still 60 minutes in an hour, but it feels like it's going faster because we are pulling with so much energy. Okay, so that was the first thing, but this chapter really brings a concept together that I'm going to show you with the help of a diagram. Let's just get started first, and let me explain what Abraham mean when they say within 17 seconds of focusing on something, a matching vibration becomes activated. And now, as that focus becomes stronger and the vibration becomes clearer, the law of attraction will bring you more thoughts that match. At this point, the vibration will not have much attraction power, but if you maintain your focus longer, the power of the vibration will become further reaching. And all you need is 68 seconds. The vibration is powerful enough if you stay there for 68 seconds for manifestation to begin. Isn't that wonderful to know? And when I hold my meditation circle on Tuesday nights, this is what I teach people, is that you only need to go into that space that we call meditation. Meditation is the space between our thoughts, and we only need to go in there just for 2 minutes, because if you can hold that space for 2 minutes, then you've activated the 68-second rule for manifestations to start happening. Okay, so let me explain with the help of a diagram what Abraham is saying over here. So we know that our thoughts are like a magnet. So if you understand that and accept that your thoughts are like an a magnet, then you understand that one thought attracts another thought. The thoughts that end up coming into your head are being attracted by you because of where you are on the emotional scale. So if this is the emotional scale and you are over here, and it only takes 4 or 5 seconds to think a complete thought. So here you are in a 4-second space, you thought a thought. And if you don't do anything to change where you are on the emotional scale, you stay here, then another thought like this will come, because this thought has magnetic power. It's pulling on something that is on the same wavelength. If it's on the same wavelength, then it's a similar thought. So you pull another thought, and that's 4 seconds, and then another one, and so on and so forth. But you could have made the decision to go from here up a notch to a different feeling. And if you did that, then you would start attracting from this higher place. So now you would attract from here. And what Abraham is saying is, if this is the field of all possibilities, where all possibilities exist simultaneously, you only need to think so many thoughts for 68 seconds that once you've been there for 68 seconds, now you have started attracting whatever is on this wavelength from the field of all possibilities. So that is why it's so important to pay attention to where we are on the emotional scale, because if you know that you are over here in a place of anger, then you know that you don't want to attract from a place of anger. So really you should do something to go further up the emotional scale, and from there go further up the emotional scale, because you want this 68 seconds to start at a higher level. And if you are here at satisfaction, or if you are at hope or love and joy, then you're attracting from this place. And if you attract from satisfaction, you're attracting thoughts and things that will bring you more satisfaction. If you're attracting from love, then you're going to bring to you more things that will bring you love. And the reason, so I want to take another color. Let's see, what color do I have here? So the reason it's important is because once upon a time, Abraham used to talk about the concept of discs. And I liked that concept because it represents to me, in my mind, it's like the merry-go-round that I talked about in the previous chapter. Maybe it was the chapter before that, where if you are on a disc or a merry-go-round and it's going really, really fast, it's hard to get off it and get onto another merry-go-round. So you have to slow this down to get off it without getting hurt. And then you get on to the next one, and then you get on to the next one, and the next one after that, right? So that's the concept of the discs that Abraham used to talk about, because if once you've been on a disc for 68 seconds, this is moving fast enough to make it hard for us to get off. And that's why, that analogy that Abraham has about going, so let me actually draw it out because it'll make it so much easier to understand. So Abraham says, if you were at the top of a hill and there was a car and you nudged it gently, and then you came and stood over here, nothing would happen. The car would not start traveling at full speed down the hill. But if you nudge the car and it starts its journey down the hill, and then you try and stop it over here, it's going to run you over. And this is, the analogy means if it runs you over, that means that's you having a bad experience. That's you having an experience that you did not want to have. That's why good people get hurt. That's why bad things happen to good people, which is the name of one of my books. And you can find that book is a free download on my website. And it talks about how people attract things they don't deserve. And our deservability has nothing to do with what we get. Remember this, folks. Our deservability has nothing to do with what we get. What we get is simply a function of where we are on the emotional scale and how much momentum we have allowed, because we have allowed. And we allow by not paying attention. Think about it. Just stop and think about it for 2 minutes or 2 seconds. Do you remember any of the thoughts that you thought today? Do you remember any of the thoughts that you thought in this one day? Chances are that you're going to recall maybe a handful of thoughts that you might have thought today. For the most part, we're thinking and not paying attention. And that's why you don't remember what it was that you thought, because if you had paid attention to it, then you would have remembered. So you'll remember things like, oh, yes, you were told to remember to pick up milk on the way back home. You remember that because you made an effort to pay attention, right? But for the most part, we don't remember. Children come home and they've forgotten everything that happened at school. They don't remember, right? And because we're not paying attention, that is why we don't know where we are on the emotional scale. When we become mindful, all that means is that we are paying attention to where we are on the emotional scale, right? So that's how, when we pay attention to where we are on the emotional scale, that's when we can do something to change it. If we don't like where we are because we know that being at a low place on the emotional scale is going to bring us negative manifestations, then you want to get off that place. You want to go higher because you want better things to happen, right? So, okay, so let's move on from there. And let's see what's next. Okay, so then Abraham says that a thought that you keep thinking, and if you keep thinking it for 68 seconds, then that thought becomes a dominant thought. Because why? Why does it become a dominant thought? Well, we just looked at the diagram and I explained to you, let's look at it again, that these thoughts have magnetic power. The 1 4-second thought attracts the next one at the same vibration unless you focus consciously and do something to flip it to the positive side. You keep attracting things at the same level as before. And that's why that thought becomes dominant. Dominant means that it now has enough momentum that it is going to start becoming manifest. So what does that mean? It means that steam, which is non-physical, becomes manifest, becomes a thing. And that's how all things become manifest, is if you think about them long enough, then they emerge from that non-physical state and they become manifest. So if you think on something for long enough, whether it's something that you like or it's something that you don't like, either way, it is going to manifest for you because you've been thinking it. Okay? All right then, let's move on. So Abraham wants us to remember a couple of things, and I'm going to read these things out to you. Remember that the thoughts you think equal your point of attraction. The thoughts you think equal your point of attraction. What is the point of attraction? This gateway into the non-physical. That's your point of attraction. If you're at this level on the emotional scale, this is your point of attraction. You're attracting from here. Okay? You get what you think about whether you want it or not. So if you think about the absence of money, you get the absence of money. And if you think about the having of money, you get the having of money. Your thoughts equal vibration, and that vibration is then answered by the law of attraction. And that is simply going back to this diagram where every 4-second thought attracts another 4-second thought that is on the same vibrational frequency, and then it's answered by the law of attraction, meaning that it will bring you an experience, a person, an event, and a manifestation that will be in keeping with that vibration. As your vibration expands and becomes more powerful, it eventually becomes powerful enough for manifestation to occur. I think that's self-explanatory. In other words, what you think and therefore feel and what manifests in your experience is always a vibrational match. So all that means is a vibrational match means that if I'm on this level, then I am attracting magnetically from this level on the emotional scale, and only those things can manifest in my experience that correspond to my vibration. So that is why it's a vibrational match. Okay. Your uncontrolled thoughts are not to be feared. Very important. Don't start becoming afraid of what you've thought in the past and what you think when you're on autopilot on a daily basis. Because just focusing, so remember this, that's what this whole chapter is about, is that 17 seconds or 16 seconds nowadays, 16 seconds of focusing positively gets enough momentum started that in 68 seconds of staying on that level of vibration, you now start attracting from the field of all possibilities good things. So if you're being mindful and if you are doing what you need to do to get up to a place of love and joy, and then from there you are staying in that vibration just for a few seconds, you've already started the process of manifesting from that level. And the more you pay attention and the more you do this focusing exercise with intention, then the faster and faster and faster you start pulling from the field of all possibilities. So, moving along from there. So, Abraham says, for although the law of attraction is powerful, the basis of your experience is that of well-being. The basis of our experience is that of well-being. What does that mean? It means that it doesn't matter what we think because we have an inner being. And our inner being, even when we are over here on the emotional scale, our inner being is always over here. And our inner being's vibration represents the basis of our well-being because our inner being is always at a place of love. So that means that in any one point or any one moment in time, we are sending out two vibrations. One vibration we are sending out is the vibration of our inner being, and the other vibration that we are sending out is our vibration that comes from our mind, okay? Our thought energy that instigates the emotion within us, that's the other one that we are sending out. So in any moment in time, remember this, folks, I don't think this is talked about anywhere, but this really is how it is. Your inner being is sending out a vibration on your behalf, which also has pulling power. So even though you might be pulling towards yourself with a lot of momentum, the absence of money, by being here, your inner being is pulling towards you the having of money. So the problem that you feel, the bad feeling that you feel, is because you're over here and your inner being is over here. When you close the gap and now both those vibrations are in the same place, that is alignment. And now both those lasers are pointed on the same thing. So imagine this, if if you had two laser beams and the objective was to point them on the same thing in order to pull it towards you, and you had a friend playing with you, and the friend was pointing it on the thing that you wanted, but you could just not get it right. You could just not point at the thing that you wanted. You kept pointing all over the place. Then you're not going to be able to pull this thing, right? It's like when you go to one of those what do I want to call it? The play places, they have that coin machine where you put a coin in, and then there's this robotic arm that allows you to pick up a toy and drop it into the bucket so that you can get it. Well, it's like you have two tongs now, and both of them have to pick up the same toy in order to put it in the bucket, right? And if one tong is picking it up and the other one is not, you can't have that toy. That's how it works, folks. Our inner being is also attracting on our behalf, and our inner being knows completely and with precision what we want and is attracting it. But we set forth a lot more momentum. So if we did not set forth negative momentum, which is the example from last evening's class, that when you kind of sort of want something and you don't have a very big belief getting in the way, you're going to manifest that thing really, really easily, because there's not going to be a big gap between your vibration and your inner being's vibration about it. But when the gap between you and your inner being is big, that's what makes it harder to attract. Okay. Even though your thoughts are magnetic and expand with your attention, you have plenty of time, as soon as you become aware of any negative feelings, to begin to choose other less resistant thoughts and thereby choose a more desired outcome. We have complete creative control, and in any moment we can choose to do things differently. That is law of attraction. That is our power. We are powerful beings, and we can have, be, or do anything we want, because we can, and we have complete power, because no one outside of us is telling us what to think and how to think our thoughts. Okay, so finishing up here, remember you can allow it or resist it in varying degrees. So Abraham is talking about the well-being. So we can allow our inner being's pulling power, or we can resist it. Once you deliberately choose a thought and consciously feel the improvement in the way you feel, you have successfully utilized your own guidance system, and you can now be on your way to the freedom that you desire and deserve. For there is nothing that you cannot be, do, or have. All right. Perfect timing, I think. Yes, it is. Awesome. So I hope that this helped to clarify for you a couple of things. And those things are, one, there's a thing called momentum. Momentum gets started when you stay on the same vibrational frequency for 68 seconds. That starts enough momentum to have a manifestation start developing. However, it only takes 4 seconds to think a thought. So 68 seconds is a lot of thoughts. And that's why Abraham says it doesn't matter if you've thought negatively about something, because if you find out that you've been negative, within 4 seconds, you can change the way you're thinking, go up the emotional scale, and now be in a position to manifest something completely different and better. So we have complete control. So that's number 2. Number 3, what I want you to take away from it is that your inner being is always thinking on your behalf and is attracting from the highest place. And that is why sometimes, you know why they say, sometimes it takes a long time for things to come, but who cares if it takes time, right? Who cares if it takes time? The main thing is that you got it, right? And that's why things that you have negative beliefs to still happen, still come about. It takes longer. It would come faster if you lined up with your inner being, but the things that you wanted will come to you eventually because your inner being never stops calling them to you. And lastly, I want you to remember that the reason it feels that time is going faster is because our asking is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. All right, folks, that's it for tonight. I had lots of fun. I hope you did too, and I hope that you'll come back and join me tomorrow for another chapter from the book Ask and It Is Given. Take care and have a fabulous rest of the day. Bye for now.